Hello, I'm Aiden, and today I'm going to be talking to you about everybody's favorite pastime, polygamy. Or, to be more specific, the polygamy of Joseph Smith, the founder of Mormonism and the author of the Book of Mormon. So, let's get into it. So before I get into specifics, there's something that you need to understand, and that's how Joseph got into polygamy in the first place. The way it's described in Doctrine and Covenants is that Joseph was crying out, pleading, praying to God, asking why he allowed polygamy in the Old Testament. And God immediately responded, as God often apparently does to his favorite white boy, Joseph Smith, that polygamy was bad, but it was necessary at the time to grow the population. And then he gave the plea to Joseph Smith that he should do the same with the Mormons. So that leads me to the main thing that I want to talk about, and that is Stephen Carter's article, Scared Sacred. In that article, what he talks about is two stories and how they compare and contrast. One is Abraham and Isaac, and the other is Joseph Smith and his polygamy that he had to do for religious reasons. The story of Abraham and Isaac, because I'll give you a quick refresher, because I know you've missed your Sunday school lessons. In essence, the quick synopsis is that Abraham had to sacrifice his child. He didn't at the end of it. It was a test of faith. That was the whole point. Anyway, the point of the article is that they're both cultural no-nos. We don't do that. We don't sacrifice our children. We don't do the polygamy thing. But he argues that they are both okay because God said they were okay. So the article continues, and let me just use my diagram here to show you, in essence, what it's saying. So the article says that Abraham, he's happy at the end of the day because he may have almost killed his son, but, they all went home happy. It's fine. Now, on the other hand, the article argues that Joseph is actually far worse off because he has to continue to live with this big cultural no-no. And look, as you can see, he's sad because he's surrounded by a bunch of women. So the article argues that Joseph's struggle is far greater than that of Abraham's because we all know that men hate being around a bunch of women. Now, Carr continues with a thought that gives me a lot of pause. Now, let me read it for you. As with Abraham's, Joseph's story is a man who has entered into a subjective relationship with God and therefore finds himself above conventional morality. And this idea of him being above conventional morality, it makes enough sense in the context of the article, but it is an idea that is far too rampant with religious fanatics. Now, I'm not saying Joseph was a religious fanatic. I will not touch that with a 10-foot pole at this time. But it's a dangerous thought to have because far too many people will think that and get places that they should never be and do things they should never do. Now, I am no Mormon, but I am well-versed in the literature and many of the other things. But there's a idea that I've started to understand, especially in my paper, I put it in there. But there is no such thing as a middle ground. The only middle ground you can have is ignorance. So I have, learned a lot about this and I have a lot of strong opinions about Mormonism. Now, I'm not going to go up to a Mormon and be like, I don't agree with this and this is wrong, blah, blah, blah. There's plenty of people that say they're just passionate about something, but in essence, they're really just mean, okay? I don't want to be like that. But I have a lot of strong opinions, and the only way I could, find a middle ground is by not having those opinions, and the only way I could not have those opinions is if I was completely ignorant of all the Mormon things that I know. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and now you have a little less middle ground to stand on.